Next bear market bottom is coming, and it's bringing real bears with it.
Will be a police state by Christmas if Parliament passes bills C2, C8, and C9 in their current form. C2 is the Strong Borders Act. It should be called the Strong Surveillance Act. It empowers Canada Post to open letter mail without a warrant. It criminalizes the use of cash in amounts greater than 10,000. And it empowers a vast army of government officials, not just police, to conduct warrantless searches of the computers and cell phones of Canadians. It is a massive invasion of privacy. It's extremely dangerous. There have been warnings that the Online Harms Act, which prior to the last election was known as Bill C-63, might be reintroduced. If the Online Harms Act is brought back and passed into law, you're going to see the Canadian Human Rights Commission with massive new powers to prosecute Canadians over offensive non-criminal speech with penalties up to $50,000. You're going to see a Digital Safety Commission with a vast army of bureaucrats to enforce federal regulations that are passed in respect of the internet and internet contents. And you're going to see Canadians punished preemptively because their neighbor fears that they might commit a hate speech crime in future. The Online Harms Act would authorize judges to place Canadians under house arrest and wear an ankle bracelet in respect to curfew, etc. Giving the federal government, giving federal cabinet ministers power to kick Canadians off the internet is not necessary for protecting public safety or defending our national security. Our freedoms are fragile. It's imperative that every Canadian contact their member of parliament, whether your MP is Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Bloc, or Green, does not matter. Contact your member of parliament and tell him or her to vote against bills C2, C8, C9, and tell them to not bring back the Online Harms Act. I'm John Carpe. Thanks for listening.
Canada is so cooked, Drew. It's like unbelievable, the onslaught.
Is that really what's happening up there this quickly, Matty? Like, I mean, I guess I've been distracted with all the American bullshit going on. Holy God.
I know. It's scary, isn't it?
I mean, this is some stuff we need to like think about right now, bro. Like, that's coming down the pipe pretty quickly. You know, and they're already going and door to door checking in on people that looked at posts in the UK.
They're in jail for some of those people.
What's that?
They're in jail, some of those people. You wrong post, you go to jail, yeah.
Yeah, and so my frame of thought's like, okay, so they have AI algorithmic organization models that are able to pull in data of people who literally just viewed a post already in the UK. Canada likely already has that same technology available and is using it and organizing. America honestly probably has that technology available as well and is organizing it and getting it ready for use. Like, that is absolutely insane, Matty B. I thought I was going to bring up, scary potentials of, the top being in and where we're at in the cycle over the next few months. And that is something that, well, all right. So every time I've taken really insane bets that the local top was in, it was at a time where my wife showed up to me. She's like, honey, I feel like the top's in. Feeling kind of cooked, right? She came to me last night with this same thought. Now, I'm of the opinion that, I'm looking at like January, February 26th for like peak happiness in risk assets post, a couple interest rate cuts and things of that nature. But she did bring up something pretty valid to me. It's like, we go from 1719 up to 69K in the last bull market from like previous peak to the 2021 peak was like 67,000. So it was a 2.4x. And Bitcoin, though it is up and to the right, to the moon, hodl all day long, etc., has been on a path of downward diminishing returns. Now, where we're at right now, you know, from the peak, I actually want to look at this with you, Matty, because we had a 2.4x from peak to peak in 2017 to 2021. I want to check out the peak to peak here at the time frame below that. Somehow I screwed up my chart here, but I'm worried about a simple 2x being basically what Bitcoin's capable of, right? And then, you know, that the fear in here is that altcoins, yes, they are like struggling and writhing right under all-time highs of, you know, their past accomplishments. But man, I mean, you know, a 2x on Bitcoin, $126,000. I mean, it's nearly a 2x. I am going to be getting out of my alt positions over the next 4 to 5 months. I feel like I am going to be doing that, right? Like we have this. There's so many different angles because I could paint the bullish picture of how much money they're going to print to do AI data centers, all that bullshit they want to do to take all our jobs away. They're going to print our dollars into absolute uselessness to make sure we don't have a job. Think about that. But, you know, that'll create a flywheel of economic activity. You know, you could likely see inflation going absolutely ballistic along with stocks, valuations of goods going up parabolically as well. Now, does Bitcoin, you know, follow that path? I think so. Altcoins are the big question here for me, right? Altcoins are the big question. I'd feel fine top blasting right now, 121, whatever. Like, I don't have a problem consistently buying Bitcoin because of the clip that you showed at the beginning of the show. I didn't get into Bitcoin for price action. I got into Bitcoin so that I could always have value to send from person to person, right? So that being said, the only thing I'm really thinking about this 4-year cycle for is in relevance to the altcoins, right? And I think Big Daddy Bitcoin's gonna, you know, if it rolls over and we do crash back down to 80K, even maybe a little bit less, there would be a full-on reckoning even below bear market accumulation levels for these alts from the sentiment that's out there right now. Many people are holding them. I'm always, you know, I hold like probably 5 or 6 different alts right now outside of the Bitcoin. And it's a tough thing for people to kind of think about having a muted upside to the altcoin sector while all this, you know, this frill of regulatory clarity and we're going to tokenize the stock market. And that's $2 quadrillion, you guys. Like, what are we doing here? You know? But this super cycle has happened in the form of stable coins, bro. It happened, right? Like Bitcoin doubled, stable coins went absolutely parabolic, tokenized assets went parabolic. These layer 1 playthings did not go parabolic, Matty B. Pain in this thought. I mean, what is your take on this? I know that we're just writhing around. We really haven't crashed much, but just the concept of Bitcoin hitting a 2x, falling in line with diminished returns of bull markets of past is on my mind this Matty B. What say you? What say you? Talk me off the ledge here.
You know, it's a valid thought. Now the scary part about that is that if we, you know, squeak out a 2x, you and I will not be making Bitcoin content in 4 years. Like we already see a reckoning of retail interest is zero. We're at all-time highs, right? So if we only get like the retail, the price is the marketing for retail, right? So if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, the one thing that you can recognize is a price going, you know, parabolic. That's the only real billboard. So if we lose that billboard, we will lose retail and we will kind of become a very smaller niche community than we already are because retail will just, I don't know, go squander back to Netflix or something and that'll be it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, but I think me and you actually have a different edge because we cover a lot of the cultural pressures that bother people day to day.
Yeah,
plus
for sure.
We actually have another ace up our sleeve. You got the piano, I got the heavy metal and the guitar.
Back to music, eh?
You know, well, and it's like
get the band together.
you know, I'm trading it is what's been really fun for me to at least give me like some really good juice, right? Like I had essentially my altcoin season with just Tether, right? I had, you know, I was really, really in the zone and felt great. Ooh, who
I want
knows
to give a
what's
shout
that?
out to One House Productions there. Thank you for sharing the stream. Much appreciated. That's how it gets out there. Thanks, buddy.
Team Glock and Roll. He knows. He knows. Team
Glock and
Glock and
roll.
Roll. But also on that, you know, on the Glock node, right? Like there is an unwinding of society happening before our eyes. I've really noticed it on a microcosm within music. Political spectrums on either side clashing, even within music scenes falling apart from it, you know. It
Is there
really
a
is a
music
time
scene?
for what's that?
Like, I know I'm out of touch,
Yeah.
but is there a music scene under our noses that maybe we're slightly
Oh
too
yeah.
old?
Oh no, and I'm not. Yeah, no. I'm plugged into the Denver music scene and getting plugged into the Atlanta music scene, which is actually insanely good.
Hmm,
Small bands, small venues, absolutely packed, and that action's really
that's
still
cool.
happening. Um, you know, but it is, you know, there is political polarization going on, and as stresses on people increase and their ability to handle that stress goes away from chemical castration of what God gave us in terms of our abilities to process the world around us. Now we're surrounded by all these little you know, frills and things to keep us distracted. No one's raw dogging life and really soaking into their problems, you know. I wouldn't say no one, but a vast majority of people aren't. And yeah, man, it's a time frame. I don't think that we would go away. We might have to just be continually focusing on the self sovereignty thing, because the privacy thing and how you actually cash out a crypto or how you translate it to true value is something that really does concern me, man. It really, really does concern me, and it's what it was such a concern for me going through COVID and flu season. It drove me to being just a crypto maxi. Bitcoin, crypto are basically my entire buying power outside of the house and tangible goods, you know? So it's something to think about. It's something to think about. Kenny's up in the Nashville bluegrass scene. That's badass. Check out the band Wicked in all caps. All right. I'll check them out.
We'll check it
You
out.
know,
Let's do you know, on the God, my headphones are bucking out. On that thumbnail it said the next bear market, so I just wanted to quickly go over there so I
yeah.
don't have the comment saying what about the next bear market. I just want to do some quick math on Jesus Christ. Okay, here we was it May 11th was the 2020 halving, and now that point from May 11th right there to the bear market bottom was, let's call it 930 days.
Hmm.
So historically that's how long we had to wait for the next bear market, which I'm excited for because that's where the real money's made once
Oh,
it
for sure,
bottoms.
dude. For sure. Like,
So let's go to
I'm back
April
down.
20th. April 20th. That was the halving, right? Or am I fixed on that date for another reason? April 20th.
Yeah, April 20th was halving. Yeah,
Okay,
in
so let's go.
2024.
So let's go 930 days out. And we get to November 9th.
Hmm.
It's hard to imagine that in about a year, everything will have kind of run its course and reset down to a bear market bottom. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard because we've been in this slow grind in this bull market has been the slowest grind up I think I've ever experienced. Like the parabolic days are kind of over because we're in the law of large numbers, but it's hard to imagine in a year.
I don't know. There's things that we can push back on that though with, like with gold. What's happening with gold? The
Mhm.
size comparison of gold to Bitcoin is 10x, right? Gold's got like a $28 trillion market cap. It's pumping up hugely still. I mean, gold looks like a meme coin chart. Bitcoin's supposed to be this digital version of gold. Nation states losing trust amongst each other at a very fast rate. yes, there's talks of a US strategic reserve, but there's actually action with other countries and companies buying the Bitcoin first. This is where I am at such a hard point in where we're at in this cycle, Matty, is because like Bitcoin has never experienced a stagflationary event. We
Right.
have never experienced stagflation. We are in stagflation, and it's just a matter of time before they admit it. How does Bitcoin react in this environment? I feel like we have zero data on. You know what I mean? I feel like we have zero data on other than what I feel like gold and Bitcoin are kind of based in physics, and but then you got cost of energy potentials over the next 10 years if they go. But and this is the hopeful. We're talking craziness now. If they roll off all the red tape that's stopping nuclear energy,
Right.
and then we can get super cheap energy, then the baseline to mine Bitcoin would go down, right? Think about that. I mean, I think it's like $1,300 in some countries to mine a Bitcoin. Um, there is so many different aspects of this going on, Maddie. It's like, where do you even start? I feel like we are in stagflation. The last time this happened, gold ran, and it has in my if the same scenario does play out on gold, gold's going to 5,000-6,000 bucks, and
Mm-hmm.
then government intervention force people back into the fiat currency by offering really high yield, near zero rates on lending, and then a 10-15 year bear market for gold followed that, right?
Right.
That's like the nasty nasty potential here. It's like, and it could be, if that does happen, then we would go into super parabola zone, this banana zone Rob Paul's been talking about, have a stupid blow off top, and then thousands of companies and maybe tens of countries get kicked in the balls from the price coming down by 60-50%. You know,
Well, you know
that's
what I haven't heard in a long time, and maybe I'm out of touch on this one too because I'm in my X bubble.
mm,
The whole hype on nation states and more, and in particular, this United States, like the individual states having a Bitcoin reserve. It's like they just kind of went away.
well,
Now,
they say Bitcoin reserve, but it's literally they're just, yeah, we're turning our confiscations into a reserve,
yeah, great.
and everyone's like, like, what do you mean you're not gonna buy any? You're just planning on stealing more,
Yeah,
and that's like, okay, so we're supposed to be bullish about your plans to steal Bitcoin from like,
right.
and so that's kind of the weird spot that it's in right now. And you notice, instead of Bitcoin reserve, what the government's been foaming at the mouth after is these fucking private stablecoin companies, so they can just print money on stablecoins into infinity, buy up the Bitcoin with the fake cash, and then real problems can happen, right? So, maybe I'm just a little bit salty, maybe I'm aggravated, but
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
we're
I'm
all a
seeing.
little bit salty now with as we reach all time highs, it becomes more scary slash depressing. It's almost like it reminds me of, remember the Goonies when they finally get they find One-Eyed Willie's ship and they're kind of sitting
Mm,
there. It's like the movie's
mhm,
over. You know what I
mhm,
mean? So
mhm.
we don't want the movie to end. We don't want the bull run to end. But every time that we hit an all time high, the possibility of it being over kind of
Mm,
sets in. And just like all time highs, we don't know it till we're 6 months deep, right? Do you have any
right.
factors that you're like, this is my bull run dead man switch? Like, if this happens, I know for sure I'm out. Or are you out at all?
Yeah, well, I'm out of altcoins at a point. I'm not ever gonna be out of Bitcoin, right?
What's
Like
that point?
Bitcoin, there's no point. I don't want to
Okay.
put my money in. I don't want to put my Bitcoin value in house that I see increase of tax and increase of insurance
Right.
costs consistently. I don't want to put it in the dollar because it's just constantly losing. It lost like 10-12%. So, I'm not out of Bitcoin. I am out of alts. Other than, I think the only alt that I feel comfortable buying is Chainlink. Like, there is many, many sexy little projects that are giving people whiplash. There is not a there's no other project on the altcoin side that I'm interested in. Like Ethereum, I feel like it's going to be around, but like, what's the X's on it, right? It's going to be like 20K in 2030, and I got like a 4X or 3X I got to wait 6 years for. The only like systemically exciting altcoin for me outside of, I already know Ethereum's got that one up, is Chainlink.
So would you sell into Chainlink? Like it would become zero gravity and all other alts would go into Chainlink or stable coins, or how are you playing that one?
No, all the alts are going into Bitcoin, right? And I got my Chainlink, but the Chainlink is admittedly an old bag, but I've been slightly adding to it. But seeing how this stablecoin framework is rolling out, and the actual, what happened was Chainlink got the market addicted to using the CCIP, the data flow, for damn near free, and they just turned fees on, so they've had a 300x increase on their revenue on a weekly basis just from barely turning the fees on a section of the protocols that use them. What's happening in November is Swift is actually going to go live, working on not just working on doing the transactions, but doing the transactions on CCIP. And if it's a test, that's fine. I don't really care. It's, I want to see the test go through in November. I'm really, if I have to be involved with a speculative, high risk, high reward altcoin, I think Chainlink is it. It got the contracts, there's all kinds of projects out there that are trying to pine for this peer-to-peer, nation-to-nation, yada, yada, yada. There's only a couple projects that actually got the contract. So
what's your speculative bullish delusion on Chainlink from where to where?
Well, I mean, it's more based on throughput, in terms of use of CCIP. Where Chainlink sits right now, the fees are only on for a section of crypto projects that use them. November, they go live actually for Swift. If Swift did 1% of their transfers through Chainlink on a yearly basis, that would bring it to about $400 a piece. And if you
is that a 10x? Or more?
That would be a 20x from where it's at right now, just about. But a 5% usage brings it to near 1,800 a piece. And I think that that's a goal and something that I can reasonably look for by like, 2030, 2028. I think it's going to take time for these systems to actually be rolled out. And yeah, there's going to be pullbacks and there's going to be sadness along the way. But, I don't see any other projects that actually have a hard-sided contract to do this with the world value transfer system that currently is in place. And if you have a plan to just I'm going to take out the global banking sector and I'm going to replace it with XRP, that's where they lost me on that, right? That's where they lost me on it, because I was all about XRP for years and years and years. And when I really saw that there was no coordination with the existing setup, it was rather just a plan to take over by the seams of it. Of Swift, it's not feasible with me. It's not feasible to take out central banks without physical removal. So, that is, my opinion about that. And 2030, I could see Chainlink getting into the multiple thousands of dollars price point. I could. But right now, we're sitting here wondering if it's actually going to happen, wondering if we're going to literally see tokenized assets, tokenized houses. And when we say tokenized, they're basically just going to be digital ownership on a ledger. The ledger's likely going to be developed by the bank itself, right?
Right.
That's what Swift's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if Google comes out with their own, etc. So
I had a little bit of an epiphany in the past couple of weeks, because I've always said I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but I'm a human minimalist, and now I'm a Bitcoin full retard. But it was always because of the founders and the human aspect of any altcoin, or only coin is what I call them. Like if I didn't like the founder or the team, it's like, well, that'll probably be doomed because they're this or that, right? But with this not in core knots and core like debate going on, I realize how much influence weak men still have in Bitcoin, right? So for the longest time, I thought it was almost a standalone protocol, right? But
Yeah.
when you see this, you know, you don't see a lot of strong men debating it. It's almost like we're back to the Dungeons and Dragons nerds, and God love them for being the devs and everything. But are we at the mercy of men with Bitcoin as well? Is it a human
Well,
minimalist project?
the pooling of the mining pools and the concentration of the mining pools, the size of mining farms that Marathon, all these bigs are now in control of. Honestly, man, with a 10% stake in each one of these things, BlackRock is probably calling the shots in the background on that.
Hmm.
You know, so yeah, I, you know, the whole, it's going to be, here's what XRP does have going for it: unit bias. That's what it does have going. As long as it's in the top 10 and still, you know, a couple bucks, they're going to compare
Right.
it to other coins that are hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's got unit bias going for sure. But, you know, all that being said, it's really, it's a time to not leave it up to the nerds, Matty B, because I think some of the harsh realities of the current framework of our lives need to be acknowledged. If we're sitting here in crypto trying to flip the table and usurp the system as it is right now,
Yeah.
not even acknowledging the systems that are in place already, the winners that are in place already, how they control that path, and how hard it's going to be to get into it, I think is doing ourselves a huge disservice. It'll keep you delusional and make you poor 5 years from now, leaning into these, you know, ideas. Like, well, the best play, like privacy coins, if you actually believe in, you know, having privacy, like look at what Zcash and all these freaking random privacy coins. Monero is one of the best damn charts out there. I want to look at Monero just on the side here, but you know, privacy coins are systemically important to basically, you know, make sure they survive, because if we don't have privacy coins, bro, we are cooked. We are absolutely cooked.
Let me
I
pull it
want
up
to see
here.
where Monero is. So it's number 26. Long-term chart. Yeah, $338. Look at this. Look at the fuck. Do you see Monero's?
Yeah, this is the Monero weekly chart here.
Mm-hmm. Monero's not bad at all. It's a $338. Um, you know, so it's had pretty consistent juice. And, you know, I think that as these, you know, the clip that you showed at the beginning of the show, I think that that driving factor, it's what drove me to crypto. And it's what drove me to stay in crypto, regardless of the crazy parts of the price action, things of that nature, is the controls that these governments are trying to build out, man. It's freedom. Bitcoin is freedom, you know?
Yeah, it's getting weird up here in Canada, and of course it's just a test ground, right? So when they can push around the nerd Canada, basically the cuck liberal up in Canada, they know that they can probably push around the states to a certain degree. But then you guys have a standing army, so it's like the last wall of freedom exists in America.
Yeah, the internals of America are going to be pretty tough to dislodge. I got to be honest with you. Like, you know, there's a lot of talk that like you can bring the average people to their knee. The average people aren't who fucking got this country to where it is, right? We're not
Right.
average, the psychos in the woods that have been legally obliged to own safe after safe after safe. We have welders, we have tractors, we have all, you know, like we're pretty dug in as a nation, you know what I mean, in terms of that nature. Got to leave Canadistan. God.
It's a tough one.
Oh.
It's a tough one because it's been years since I've been kind of planning the slow escape from Canada, but with kid, it makes everything a little bit harder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, but my bullish delusion is that the 51st state comes in, and then we see, strong man kind of kick the weak men in the balls and get them out of there. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
That's, you know, that's I would love it if that were to go down. I just kind of doubt it. I mean, you guys seem to, the top end seems pretty controlled. right? And even here, like we got Trump, and what do we get? We get nationalization of companies. We get Palantir basically building out Skynet.
Yeah.
You know, so the voting and stuff, you know, that does what it does. It's more about what's happening on a grassroots county level, you know, what they can actually enforce, because they can talk all they want to talk about enforcements and you can't have this and you can't have that. But when the logistics of taking those items away basically is impossible, that's when they get quiet, right? That's when they finally reach that road. It happens all the time. Like Denver, a couple other places in the US are trying to stop Second Amendment rights. And what are they going to do? Retroactively go door to door, right? I mean, it's something that you put a little buyback program out, maybe 5 crappy guns that someone made from Home Depot pipes comes in, they get their $200 a ticket, and they realize, wait a minute, we're being scammed. They shut
They're
it down.
doing that now in Canada.
Yeah,
the buyback.
absolutely. And I think I saw a clip of it was like a gun buyback where nobody showed up, and this lady who had set the law, and she was like just all sure of herself, she just walks away from the situation, and then she comes back like 2 or 3 months later, and there's like a few guns that have been turned in total. Like, I was like, I don't know. And like, okay,
Ridiculous.
what do we do now? We're gonna go after the whole town, right?
When I think about it, like from a complete business sense, so I think of how resource rich Canada is. Canada is like a diamond in the rough as far as resources. It should be like one of the most powerful countries in the world if it had strong leadership, which it doesn't. Probably that's planned, but I can see how someone who doesn't have as much, and the States is super resource rich, but once you go down the highway of, well, we got to accumulate everything, you got to put Canada on your radar. You can't have Canada being so resource rich and not own it. Now, there is a conspiracy that it's already kind of owned from United States, and this is just really the fine detail of getting the people on board, because there's so many Canadians that would just die on the hill of becoming United States just because they don't really know any better, and they're semi-patriotic. But I think the patriotism in Canada will be gone in probably 2 years, because Canada isn't what Canada was. We're a whole different country.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely insane to hear that how quickly that changed. But I do see glimpses of it, say I think it's like Minnesota, Michigan type areas,
right?
Up there in the Great Lakes, like they have I don't say, was it jihad or something? Like, what is trending? I pull up my X this morning, and the trends out there, Sharia was trending this morning, right?
Thank you for the super chat, Carl Elder. Come to the States, pianomattyb. Start the resistance here with Druth and both your followers. Yeah, no doubt. That's the next move. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, Carl. Set up your bunkhouse for Duke and I.
Like, and what we do, man, I think it's going to matter all the way up. Even if we fight this and we lose, what we do is, I think, going to be necessary for both me and your sanity. Being able to discuss these things, being able to at least say what it is, while everyone else is afraid. I think that is something that it makes me feel better at night. At least I'm trying to move the needle on a cultural basis, on a wherewithal on just how nefarious things can actually get, right?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of tobogganing down a sensorial yard sale wipeout, like when it comes to this channel, because I know this will become, if things go dark, the honeypot that will probably force me to escape if things get as dark as I think they're going to get in Canada with Bill C2, Bill C8, Bill C9. Although I saw something today that Bill C2 was put off the table for now, and then it'll just be called something else. But that's what social media has always been, just the greatest honeypot in humanity's history.
Right. Well, and the state level control of your guys' social media is one of the driving or talking points of what crypto can fix, but the systems that are in control have that control already, right? So I can do my best. Like I
Right.
go on this Avalanche based social media platform. It has no restrictions, no censorship. And I go there and do a daily show as well. I still run shows on Pump Fun. Pump Fun just so degenerate though. It's fucking hard to like get a cohesive group of people together. It's always like 6 Jeets that are like waiting for boobs or a chance to like buy the exact zero and send it to the moon. So it's Pump Fun is the culture is very toxic and ugly. AVAX has a good one on the arena, but social media on crypto, it's trying, but it needs the support of the people. It needs user interest to actually make it. Dinkle's talking about sleeper cells too. That's another thing that a lot of really smart past CIA, past operators have been sending warnings over about is the sleeper cells taking advantage of the Palestinian, you know, deportation mega protest that's building up. Chicago and Portland are about to have National Guard show up. Things are about to get really, really hot, just like they did in the Black Lives Matter protest.
Yeah.
And there's what the CIA, folks are running is that sleeper cells can use the veil of chaos domestically to go kick off actual movements. And you could bring, like if they split up and had 5 groups of 10 dudes, they could shut an entire city down. You know
For
what
sure.
I mean? Like at the way that our current capabilities are. So these are just the chaos realms. If you do come to the States, you got to come to the hillbilly South. Clearly the South is where you're coming. Am I
Georgia.
right? Georgia. That's right, baby.
I like the weather. It's hot, but it's not that. You do have kind of a cool season, but it's not like cold, right?
Yeah, and this is the birthplace of modern guerrilla warfare because of the topography, because of the foliage, infrared, night vision, all that action. Foliage does still an incredible job. Mother Nature and God has blessed me with being surrounded by warm foliage. And that basically, that can stop up a lot of imagery. And I think that understanding those basic, primal, rudimentary tactics is something that I do implore upon any father. Absolutely. Ghillie suit and all.
You have the
Find
chicken
out what
still?
it's like. What's that?
You have the chicken still?
I
Chicken
do
coop?
got the chickens. Yeah, the flock has grown, so the flock is doing good. Got more deer showing up. I do implore, something that I think is helpful for every man out there and even every woman that wants to feel capable of putting food on the table should things devolve down. We are already there on a talking point level, devolve down to a physical level of the past Civil War, then find out what it's like to sit still for 12 hours, waiting for the footsteps of an animal. Find out what it's like to actually hunt, right? Those things, I don't think a lot of people, I know a lot of people don't take seriously. And you never know. They might end up being some of the most important perishables out there, right?
I saw this yesterday. I put it in my, speaking of honeypots, my vids for later, like my bookmark page on Twitter is all the things that would ever put me in jail, really. The things that I saved there. I'll watch that later. I'll watch that later. I'll watch that later. Anyway, listen to this one. This is from Pavel Durov. He's a Telegram, right? Telegram inventor.
Yeah.
I'm turning 41, but I don't feel.
He was put in jail, wasn't he?
Yeah, in Europe, in France?
Yeah. Yeah, France went after him.
So, yeah, he kind of knows what he's talking about. Listen to this happy birthday soliloquy. I'm turning 41, but I don't feel like celebrating. Our generation is running out of time to save the free internet built for us by our fathers. What was once the promise of the free exchange of information is being turned into the ultimate tool of control. Once free countries are introducing dystopian measures such as digital IDs, UK/Canada, online age checks, Australia, and mass scanning of private messages, EU. Germany is persecuting anyone who dares to criticize officials on the internet. The UK is imprisoning thousands for their tweets. Can you believe that? Thousands thousands of people for their tweets. France is criminally investigating tech leaders who defend freedom and privacy. A dark dystopian world is approaching fast while we're asleep. Our generation risks going down in history as the last one that had freedoms and allowed them to be taken away. We've been fed a lie. We've been made to believe that the greatest fight of our generation is to destroy everything our forefathers left us: tradition, privacy, sovereignty, the free market, and free speech. By betraying the legacy of our ancestors, we've set ourselves on a path towards self-destruction, moral, intellectual, economic, and ultimately biological. So no, I'm not going to celebrate today. I'm running out of time. We are running out of time. Happy birthday.
Jesus.
It's a
But
dark
you
one.
know, there's people get uncomfortable thinking about this potential, right? But it's happening, and you know, a national interest in Palantir. You know, have you seen Palantir's like? It's not their creme de la creme. Their creme de la creme is an AI surveillance state that's already in place.
Right.
That's really the intention of the government. You know, just outwardly being involved, but tiny little drones the size of like a freaking hummingbird flying at like, I think it's like 50 or 60 miles an hour. Boom, just like a shotgun shell goes off. They land right on the person's forehead. Like, this is crazy that a company like this is being set up on a national scale. Likely, here's another thing, Matty B. The government's probably going to nationalize strategy for the Bitcoin that it holds. That's
How does that
about
play
all.
out? How does that play out in the benefit of the states
So if
or
you
the
have
government? Sorry.
more, you know, if you have more assets that you can take loans on, I don't think that Bitcoin's going to stop Keynesian economics. I think what they're going to do is sprinkle in Bitcoin into holdings to give more reasoning behind further loans, further outlooks. Look at the outlook of Bitcoin. It's going to go this high because, you know, by 2030 we're going to have an adoption rate of $1 million of Bitcoin. Really, you know, they can say those numbers and make those numbers happen if they have also interest and their hooks into the stablecoin companies. Do the purchases with the freshly minted stables. Price hits your target that you need it to be on the balance sheet to take more loans out as the US government because you hold that amount of Bitcoin. Voila, you just created another 10 years of bandwidth for yourself. You know what I mean? And this is kind of the flywheel system that I think is being built right now, right? And I have literally heard 0 people talking about this. And I keep saying it and saying it and saying it because I feel that the government is going to enslave the top stablecoin firms. They likely are basically, you know what? Tether probably already is a 3-letter agency that's just there as sheep in wolf's clothing to know where, you know, the 10 million, the 20 million went from one spot to the next. But on the other side, USDC, I see as a company that is going to be enslaved by the government to print, hide the books, cook the books. Now the question is proof of reserves going to be part of this conversation? And that's another thing Chainlink's trying to do, is to prove assets are backing up what's, you know, the outlook of being printed. But if we don't have that, man, I mean, we're shooting in the dark. We're shooting in the dark.
Yeah, that's where I get kind of bullishly delusional, because I do believe that if there is an escape route, if there's a lever to be pulled that can basically save us from almost everything, I think it's Bitcoin. But I have a knee-jerk reaction. As soon as I get passionate about anything, I just think maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too. But I don't really see a way out of it.
Well,
without
the stats
Bitcoin.
are on our side for this, Matty, because 70% plus of Bitcoin is still held by private peeps, right?
Right.
Yes, we've had a lot of Bitcoin taken up. I think it's like up to like, what is the percentage that's held by ETFs? I think it's up to like 8% or something like that. But they're single digits, right? They're
Right.
still in the single digits. The average person, the people, the whales, the OG psychos that helped bring Bitcoin to where it is right now by hodling, by mining it, by exercising cold custody, that is still a 70% pool, right? So there is an extreme strength in the decentralized holdings of Bitcoin. The mining pools might be something down the line we have to look at in terms of, you know, is this mining pool, you know, taking total control? Because there are basically 3 or 4 huge mining pools that kind of control that. So it'd be nice to see the mining of it spread out a little bit more. We've become consolidated on the mining activity, and we've also been consolidated into very expensive ASICs that only huge corporations can afford 100 of them, a
Right.
1,000 of them, because they're $5,000, $10,000 a piece, right? So
It's
yeah,
getting
I mean,
priced out by design.
right, we're getting and you know the increase in these mining computers costs is probably going to continue. We're probably going to see BlackRock pour billions of dollars into some new mining company that comes out with a more effective, higher hash rate Bitcoin miner, and they're probably going to move very violently and quickly on that and flood it into the market and try to control as much uh of the mining as possible. And Bruce Mai is saying it best, no hobbyist miners anymore, right? This is why like these things are fun, you know, like little solar miners, solo miners,
Yep.
you know, right? And just being part of the network. You know, solo miners hit the block every now and again. Yes, it's like getting hit by lightning, but you can be involved with it. You can help secure the network. It is like as far as where the Bitcoin is, I think we're nice and spread out, but how it's made is more so the question of concern in my mind moving forward, right?
Yeah, and more to that point, maybe you have a good answer for this because I don't. I saw a video the other day. Maybe it might be old, I don't know. But it's like we have two functions of Bitcoin in order for it to get to where we want it to get. One is a store of value, but the other is through its use case and having the miners being rewarded. If everyone's holding it as a store of value and nobody's using it, then we lose what is basically protecting the network, which is the miners getting incentivized to keep doing what they're doing. Meanwhile, no one's using the network. And then once the network becomes like, zero use adoption, I mean, are we cooked at that point?
Yeah, no, that's a great question and thought. It's like we are seeing the new framework for how to take loans out against Bitcoin get started up. And I think in the long term, that's what the government wants, is to be able to take more loans out against the Bitcoin they hold. Um, we probably are going to be in a spot where fiat falls so drastically over the next 20 years that you won't be able to get a loan without some form of Bitcoin backing it up. I think someone was mentioning that in the chat as well. But you know, Bitcoin and gold, palladium, silver, hard assets are definitely going to be a part of, in my opinion, requirements for getting big loans, be it a person or a business, in the next 10, 20 years. The US wants more loans. And I think the use case of Bitcoin is more so going to be shifting towards holding it on balance sheets and taking loans and fiat out against it for further business ventures. Now, how far the system cooks that ability, probably pretty far. Because we know
As far as it
you give
can.
them an inch, they take fucking 2 planets, you know. So that's probably gonna happen at a point. But and something else that is interesting, I heard this, we always see Michael Saylor, what we say is top blasting Bitcoin. It's been discussed maybe he can only top blast Bitcoin because the short-term outlook of gains is there. He can take the loan out against what his business has now because the price is going into new movement, and he can buy more as the price is going up, constantly top blasting. Just a thing. Just a thing. Hopefully
Hmm.
Bitcoin ends payday loans. Yeah. Payday loans are taking off too right now. That's the crazy part about this pianomattyb. Payday loans with 40% interest skyrocketing right now because
It's
the average person,
unbelievable.
they're not paying attention to crypto, what's going up and what's doing good. They're going to payday loans to make it by. They're using their credit cards. They're literally burying themselves underground in debt.
Yeah.
In a bad way. So
You get a
because
40% loan, you're
oh,
basically
you're
never
cooked.
paying that off.
Yeah, no, you're cooked. Yeah. And if you're taking loans out against things that don't increase or produce value, like that is major, major problem. Major, major problem.
Last question, Drew. I wanted to get your thoughts on Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Yeah, absolutely. So the people that are happy that Charlie Kirk, a good man, that was brave enough to talk directly into the snake for years on end in a public square, the people that are happy that Charlie Kirk got shot, I don't want to respond back to you in a way that would, wish that your perishment quickens, but I will say that this country was not founded upon right wing peace. It was founded upon right wing violence and the effective ability to establish such a movement. So I would say cooler heads shall prevail. If you wish to do so, what you have right now is a constitutional republic, and we plan to keep it. Charlie Kirk, an incredible example of a trad dad who led, a great, great movement, started up a massive, massive fire in the hearts of people across the country. And now we can see clearer than ever where evil is, how it laughs, why it laughs, and how it looks while it laughs at a good man who was shot dead doing what he loved. Charlie was a brave man. Everyone should stand up and be just as brave as him. Love and appreciate you guys. We'll see you real soon.
Make sure you like and subscribe.